This session is especially for developers, and it's about SAST, or Static Analysis Security Testing. And I hope that by the end of it, you would fall in love with static analysis again. My name is Elad Yaakov, and I'm a product manager at Snyk for Snyk Code. And with me is Noah Moshe, who is a solution engineer at the company. And we are here to talk to you about writing secure code. Why is it hard? How static analysis tools can help you, and why Snyk Code is quite different from most of them. And we want to show you a cool demo that hopefully will get your appetite running for fixing some of these issues. So let's get started. If you are here, you probably already understand the importance of security and securing your applications, but let me share this interesting fact with you. In the first 6 months of 2021, there were over 1,700 breaches that overall exposed over 18 billion records. And these breaches happened to companies that include Microsoft, Facebook, LinkedIn, and more. That those companies are investing heavily in security and are trying their best to have a security mindset, but these things continue to happen. And as developers, we want to follow known practices and designing secure applications and build applications that can withstand attacks. And we try to follow practices like validating user input and using minification and sanitizing data that is sent to the UI and to other systems. We need to clean our code from hard-coded credentials and other secrets and tokens. We want to overall make sure that the number of flaws we have in our code base is dropping over time. But still, we need static analysis tools to help us make sure that we don't make mistakes. We're human, we're prone to mistakes, these things happen. And even companies that heavily invest in security may have possibly vulnerabilities because of code flows that were then pushed to their production environments. So the most basic thing that we need from a SaaS tool is to help us make sure that we don't miss possible security flaws in our code. The next thing is we want those results to be accurate, as accurate as possible, so we don't waste time on issues that aren't actually real, and we spend time on actually understanding and fixing the issues that are real. And we want those results to come up pretty quickly because we often work on different things and we change context. And if the results of the analysis are not there within a reasonable time, we're probably not going to use them. And this kind of nicely fits with the ease of use and how native this tool is for my workflow. And interestingly enough, the number one reason for low developer adoption of SaaS tools is the fact that they are not well integrated with developer workflows. And finally, I also want to get not only information about the problem, but also how can I fix it eventually, because that's the main point. I want to remediate the issues that I have. So now that I understand how can this help me, let's think about Snyk Code. Many of these things that I just showed you many of these needs are not met with existing tools. So when we launched Code, we tried to reimagine SAST and imagine a tool that would be developer first, like the rest of the Snyk platform. And when we did it, we tried to think what are the pillars that we want to have that will make Code the first developer first SaaS tool. And we came up with a pretty short list of 3 things. It needs to be accurate, it needs to be real time, and it needs to be actionable. And these are the pillars that helped us form a Snyk Code and build it the way it is built today. Regarding the accuracy, we have a different approach to having an accurate engine. And we're trying to do The same thing that was done with, for example, native language processing and image processing. These areas, these domains were not yet evolved before, or heavily evolved before machine learning. And that's simply because it's a difficult problem to model. It's hard to understand native language. There are so many different ways to say the same thing. It's also hard to process images. It's very hard to understand what a cat looks like when you see different, a million different pictures of cats and in different ways and so on. My point is that software development is very similar to that. It's very hard. You can build software, you can build the same feature in hundreds or dozens of different ways. And this means that modeling this kind of problem domain is simply hard for traditional development. And this is why we chose to go with machine learning as a solution that will help us have more accurate results. And in the heart of Snyk Code, there is a model that is learning and that is machine learning based and is learning from hundreds of thousands of repositories out there and their entire history. And we take those repositories and we improve our model automatically in a way that understands better patterns and data flows and is able to identify similar patterns and data flows within your application. And we then supervise that learning by our world-class security team that makes sure to build the right rule set on top of that engine and on top of that model. And this means that we can validate our rules and against a very, very large set of data, and we can make sure that our results are accurate and comprehensive. The second part is real time, and we've invested heavily in making code blazing fast and get your results right there when you need them in that context. So even if you tried, regardless to where you tried, if it's in the IDE or in the PR or elsewhere, you would get almost instant results. And code is up to 108 times faster than other tools. So we're very happy with the results that we have there. And in terms of actionable, we don't only want to surface issues. We want to also surface information that will help educate developers around what is the problem, what can it possibly cause, how you should prevent it, how others in the world are fixing it. And we use the same learnings from other open source projects to actually identify how others are fixing those issues. And we share those fixes when we identify similar issues within your application. So these are the main pillars that make Snyk Code quite different from other SaaS tools. And enough talking, let's see a cool video of Snyk Code and how it can help you improve your day-to-day. Noah, please take us away.
Thanks a lot, and hello everyone. I'm just going to reintroduce myself. My name is Noah. I'm a solutions engineer at Snyk, and today I want to show you how Snyk can easily be integrated to the developer's workflow. So this is starting with the IDE, and then we're going to go to the SEM, and lastly we're going to look at Snyk's UI. Let's say I'm a developer and I'm working on a new feature. I want to make sure that when I write this feature that I don't add any security issues to my application. So I'm going to use Snyk's plugin, which by the way you can get in the marketplace for free. I'm going to use it, and it has three main sections. It has an open source section where it gives you the open source vulnerabilities in your project. There is a code quality section, and there's a code security section, which is our main focus today. So I'm working on my feature, and once I'm done, I'm going to use Snyk to scan it. And as Elad said, it's very quick to scan. So let's quickly scan it and see the results. Great, we're done scanning, and we see that my feature actually added 2 new issues to my project. So let's take a closer look at these issues. I'm going to click on the code injection one, and we can see that it immediately takes us to the sync of the issue. So when we look at the plugin, we actually see there is two sections. There is a data flow section, which gives us the data flow from the source to the sync, and this helps us understand the flow of this issue. And if we scroll a bit more down, we can see the fixed examples that Elad was talking about. So these are fixed examples that we found in open source of similar issues that were fixed. And I can get some inspiration and understand how to solve this issue. So let me fix this issue quickly. Great, so the issue is gone. And now let's say that I don't see the path traversal issue, or that I haven't scanned and I missed it. And I'm gonna just commit my project and then push it and create a pull request to see what happens. So now the SCM, and I'm going to create a pull request and see what happens. We see that Snyk runs 3 tests on them, one being open source test, making sure that no new open source vulnerabilities is being added to your repo. The second is a license issue test to make sure that no license issues are being added to your repo. And lastly, we're so happy to introduce, we have this pull request for our code analysis. And this really surfaces new issues during this pull request that were added to the repo. And this way you can have a security gate and know not to merge it, whether it fails. And we see that it did fail. So we can actually click on the test to see what the issue is. So if we click on it, it's going to take us to the UI. But I do want to get to that. I do want to make sure we get to that later, and right now focus on the IDE. So let's go back to the IDE. Now I'm back in the IDE, and I can use the fix examples to see how I can fix this path traversal issue. And I see that one of the examples is changing render to JSON. So let me do that. And I'll scan again. And I see that the issue is really gone. Great, so now I can commit, I can push, and then we see, if we go back to the SCM, that the tests are, that the application is being tested again. And we see that we passed all the tests, and I can confidently merge my pull request and check this task off my list. Going to the Snyk UI, we can easily integrate Snyk with our SCM. This gives us full visibility of all our code security issues in our projects. Now, as a developer, if I have dozens or hundreds of code security issues, how am I supposed to know which issue I should fix first? And this is exactly why we recently introduced priority score. And our priority score is generally based on the high risk of the issue versus the easy fix. The priority score is composed of 5 factors, the first one being severity, so if it's a high, medium, or low severity. The second would be if this issue is found more than once in your project. So, you know, if I have a cross-site scripting issue and I fix it once, I'll probably know how to fix it again. The third is if this issue is found in a file that contains additional issues. The fourth is the fix examples, which Elad touched previously, and we'll get to see them soon. And lastly is if this issue has been fixed in open source, if it's often been fixed in open source. So that's the priority score, and let's choose the issue with the highest priority score because we want to fix it. Our highest priority issue is a path traversal issue, And we see on the left the data flow from the source to the sink, and this is actually cross-file. So we can see a few steps in the first file that take us to the second file. In the second file also a couple of steps, and it takes us all the way to the third file where we have the sink. And this really gives the developer, that data flow experience, knowing where my issue starts and where it ends and how it interacts with the rest of my code. Now that we know the data flow, let's go to the Fix Analysis tab. And in the Fix Analysis tab, this is created for developers specifically because we know not all developers are security experts. And this is created by our security research team to really help them understand what the issue is, why is it harmful, why do they need to fix it. And then on the right, we have the fix examples that Elad and I previously talked about. And we can see here the changes in the code that were created in the open source repository. And if you click on the link, it can actually take you to the GitHub repository to get a fuller view of those changes. So now that we know how to fix and get that inspiration, I just want to sum up what we saw today. So we saw how Snyk integrates into the developer workflow. We saw how to use the IDE plugin to fix our issues. Then we saw the security gateway in the SCM. And lastly, we saw how you can get the visibility and really understand the issues in Snyk's UI. Back to you, Elad.
Thank you, Noah. That was really a cool demo. So that's it, folks. I hope you had a good time and that you learned from this session. And if you want to learn more, go ahead and create your free Snyk account. Or if you already have one, integrate Snyk Code with your repositories and start finding issues and fixing them. So thank you and happy fixing.